Project director at the airport says once completed, the terminal building will be able to withstand winds of 185 miles per hour. Member of Parliament for the National Alliance says the Kingdom Charter is not a democratic document. And the Department of Sports to hold virtual open house. Those are the headlines for Friday, September the 11th, 2020. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. And as usual, we have a full-packed newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, the Department of Sports will be holding their Sports and Creative Industries Open House on Monday, September the 14th, 2020. As this is the department's 6th annual event, this year it will be a bit different because of the pandemic. The department head of sports, Janelle Richardson, spoke to our newsroom on the virtual open house.
Once again, we're having the Sport and Creative Industries Open House, as you stated earlier, and it is our 6th annual Sport and Creative Industries Open House. So we started with the sport part back in 2015, and then we included the Department of Culture, my colleague Clara Reyes, in the addition of this open house. And we started with the Sport and Creative Industries Open House in 2018. But we've been running since 2015. And this year is going to be no different. We created this project, this event, to be able to highlight sport in general on the island, the organizations, what's happening. People are always saying there's nothing to do on St. Martin. And we're here to show that there's plenty to do. There's plenty to do for all ages. Young, old, in between, there's always something to do. So this year, because of what we're currently facing, the pandemic, we decided to put a different spin on things and follow the current trend, which is virtual. Everything is being done virtual these days, so we followed suit. So we are where we are now, and with the open house, what we decided to do was connect with the organizations directly and say, okay, we still want to do this. And are you willing to do this with us, work with us, to create, bring these presentations on a virtual platform? And that's where we are right now.
Can that work? It's not the same as going and touching and feeling.
No, it's not.
But
no, it's not. I think why it works is because we're giving the organizations that opportunity, and like the spotlight is going to be on them individually, from one video to the next. The spotlight is going to be on them individually. We've given them a few minutes to be able to showcase what it is that they have to offer. So they will be able to highlight everything that is about them and what's going on in their organization. And so it's just us bringing awareness. So whereas last year, everything was done in person at the facility, and we anticipated for the public, the general public, to come to the facility and engage with the different sport organizations. This time round, they're not going to be engaging with the different sport organizations in person, but they are going to be able to see what's going on. And it gives them, so in the past you would miss it if you didn't turn up to the event. This time round is going to be digital. So you can catch it at any point in time when you're ready.
So there's no excuse.
There's no excuse for people not to be informed this year.
And in other news, Member of Parliament, the Honourable George Pontiflet, discussing the Kingdom Charter. Mr. Pontiflet says that it is not a democratic document, and he wonders why the islands are being treated differently. Speaking in our newsroom, he expounded further.
Dat de Kingdom Charter, or in Dutch, het statuut van het Koninkrijk der Nederlanden, And I have no idea where the English translation came from. Maybe the legal minds can explain that to the public. But that's what it's called, and they call it the Kingdom Charter. Now, why do I say it is not a democratic document? And some might say, yes, but you signed it. Yes, St. Martin signed it. Aruba signed it. Curacao signed it. Bonaire, Sabre, and Statia, and let me make an excuse for Statia, because Statia wanted to remain part of the Antilles that unfortunately they don't exist anymore. So what am I saying? Is it a democratic document? No, it is not. It mentions in the preamble about the issue of equality and supporting and free will. But as I'm gonna show you in some articles, and I can't go to the entire Kingdom Charter because I don't have enough time for this today, Article 3, and it states where they said Article 1.2 rather, where it says that, that the island of Sabre, Statia, and Bonaire would be treated differently. When I say treated differently, there will be special regulations made up for these islands because of their population size, their distance from the mainland, what you call the environment and so on, that they will be given special rules and regulations. And as we all know, we can confirm that today they are still not treated like the other provinces in the Holland. Let me say this too, because that's the word that they want us to use, not more Netherlands, but Holland. The minimum wage and the pension, they are not equal in the kingdom with regards to Sabre, Statia, and Bonaire. And this is why I said if you're talking about equality, then why is it that these islands are treated differently? They could have easily said laws and regulations that apply in Holland would only apply in these islands if they don't have a negative effect on these islands. They're little tiny islands. So why is it that they're being treated differently? Again, this is why I'm saying this document is not a democratic document. All right? Article 3. And again, we have to be very careful because one of the things I've learned, the more you look at a document, it's like you're looking at the movie. You see it once, twice, 3 times, and the more you look at the movie, you realize, I didn't see this part, I didn't see that part, I didn't know this, but as you look at it more, and what has happened based on our experience right now with what is happening within the kingdom of the Dutch, I realized that these laws, the way they were formalized, the articles were put in a way in order to ensure that Holland still maintains her colonial powers over these islands. Article 3.2, it says they can discuss with us certain issues and certain matters. We can discuss with us. But if you look at other matters, you realize that they have the final say. And why did I mention Article 3.2? It mentioned competencies that belong to Holland, such as defense, nationality, and those things. They're telling you plain, these are my competencies. And when they mention Koninkrijk is kingdom. It means Holland, not us. Be very careful. Sometimes people think when they say kingdom, they're talking about us. No, they're talking about Holland. It is their kingdom. Okay? And the issue of Article 4, let me see Article 4.1, yes. Another thing is mentioned where that all kingdom laws, Koninkrijkswet, or Rijkswet, has to be done through a certain procedure. Every laws to be placed there has to be done by kingdom law, Rijkswet.
And the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic has highlighted the importance of the realization of the new hospital facilities. The governor of St. Martin, His Excellency Dr. Anders Eugene B. Holliday, told lawmakers at the start of the new parliamentary year 2020-2021 on Tuesday last. Speaking at the opening of the new parliamentary year and in outlining the government's policy plan, Governor Holliday expounded on the importance of the new hospital for St. Martin and its inhabitants. The new general hospital is projected to be completed and delivered at the end of 2024. With the financing already secured, the government is therefore committed to supporting the medical center with the realization of the construction, he disclosed.
A central element of government's healthcare program in the coming period will therefore be the construction of the new hospital, while also increasing the number of available specialties. The outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic has highlighted the importance of the realization of the new hospital facilities. The new hospital will increase inpatient bed capacity to 110, add operating theaters, create outpatient clusters, and include a 30-patient dialysis center. The larger hospital will increase the quality and quantity of treatments on island, thereby reducing overseas referrals and thus costs. The importance of reducing overseas referrals has been magnified with the current COVID-19 related travel restrictions. Based on the current planning, the delivery of the new hospital is scheduled for the end of 2024. With the financing already secured, government is therefore committed to supporting the medical center with the realization of the construction.
And still to come, MPs react to the no-show of the CFT. And we'll have the details to that story and much more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. In more news for you at this time, a member of the anti-poverty platform, Dr. Anders Raymond Gisseroon, speaking at the anti-poverty platform St. Martin Consumers Coalition press conference yesterday, he is questioning the content of the governor's speech from 1 year ago regarding reviewing some of the government's intentions and what was delivered. He also read more of the governor's speech when he asked, what can we do to secure a safe and prosperous future for our children and grandchildren? The member wanted to know, where are we today?
Dr. Anders Eugene Holliday said, let us review some of the intentions of government. And we do that by checking what was delivered in the governor's speech 1 year ago. The governor presented on behalf of the UD SMCP Leona Marlin cabinet one basic question. As we embark, we quote, on this 10th parliamentary year, amid a cloud of political uncertainty, we, all of us, ought to ask ourselves one basic question. What can we do to secure a safe and prosperous future for our children and our grandchildren? End of quote. The governor said, and we quote again, let us, based on that question, use this moment to stand still and reflect on where we are and on the direction of our country. And as you do so, as parliamentarians and ministers, you ought to remind yourself that people across our country look to you to work together to prioritize the policies that matter most to them. Matters that will improve their well-being and secure the well-being of their children and their children's children. End of quote. As consumers of government services, for which we all pay indirect and direct taxes, we want all parliamentarians and government coalitions not only to ask what to do for our children and grandchildren, but also what to do for the parents and the grandparents. In the last parliamentary year, we have had 3 governing coalitions. The UD SMCP coalition until November the 19th, then the NAUSP Brown Bill Mercelina coalition until the snap elections of January this year, And since March, the National Alliance United People's Party coalition, all these parliamentary governing coalitions had to prioritize the policies which had to improve the well-being and secure the well-being of our children and grandchildren. So what did these coalitions do to create more employment, to create more resilient housing, to create better education, to create better affordable health, and more security for our people, as was in the governing program intentions of last year's opening of the parliamentary year? Well, none of the faction leaders reflected on Monday on what the UD-SMCP governing coalition, the NA-USP governing coalition, and the NA-UP governing coalition did to improve the well-being of our children and grandchildren. When we think of the more than 13,000 poor and needy households, their household income did not increase. No living wages, but poverty wages, poverty social pensions, and poverty social allowances. Not even the minimum wage was indexed since January 2016.
Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, Christophe Emmanuel, speaking at the Central Committee meeting, wanted to know what is the way forward now that the CFT was a no-show, as the CFT plays a vital role as it pertains to the second tranche of liquidity support. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for the U.S. party, Claudius Bancamper, said he was baffled when he heard the State Secretary make certain statements directly related to the CFT. And then Member of Parliament for the UD, Sarah Westcott-Williams, says she does not agree with holding a meeting that supposedly should have had the presence of the CFT and not having heard a response from them, and the meeting with the CFT convened with the CFT is still held. Member of Parliament for the PFP, Rayon Peterson, also commented on the whole discussion regarding the CFT. According to MP Peterson, he said, unlike some of his colleagues, he has to disagree with the whole discussion with the CFT. He said the article is pretty clear, but they are trying to misinterpret the article.
Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I would like to know then what's the way forward, where do we go from here concerning the CFT? Because I would want to believe that they have an obligation as well to report to the members of Parliament by virtue the people of St. Martin. And you made mention of it that most oftentimes the years of CFT come into Parliament, and it have always been a closed session because it was always made mention of the sensitive information, and right after they would go to the media and divulge everything that was discussed. And in my time, I haven't heard or seen anything in particular that have been so sensitive that the people of St. Martin don't have a right.
Kingdom Affairs Committee in the Netherlands, and I was baffled when I heard the State Secretary make certain statements that are directly related to the CFT. The CFT wants a Kingdom Consensus Law passed through this entity too. They are the ones that are making advices if we're in compliance or not with the conditions that are going to be anchored down in law. Yet you refuse to talk to the people that have to do these laws. You are unilaterally making decisions for this country, telling the State Secretary what you so desire, take advice from the chairman alone and not necessarily the CFT committee, and yet you refuse to adhere to your obligation to report.
Mr. Chairman, I do not agree with holding a meeting that supposedly should have had the presence of the CFT and not having heard a response from them. The meeting with the CFT, convened with the CFT, is still held. I do agree, however, but then that should be clear that that is what the meeting is for, that we should be having a discussion regarding the CFT, its role, and for those who do not understand what the role of the CFT is based on, that we have that discussion. We have a discussion on the Kingdom Consensus Law for financial supervision.
Mr. Chairman, unlike some of my colleagues, I have to disagree with this whole discussion regarding the CFT. I think the reg sweat is pretty clear. And if anybody wants to Google the reg sweat, they can read it for themselves. We are speaking about Article 4. And Article 4 is pretty clear. Subsection 3, that one handles in which cases the CFT has to come and give inlichtingen over zijn werkzaamheden. And according to Section 3 of that same article, that is to our minister, which is the Minister van Buitenlandse Zaken in Holland, our Minfin from Finance, and the besturen, which is the executive branch. What we are trying to put here on the floor of Parliament is trying to misinterpret Article 1. Article 4, Section 1, sub C, which says het rapporteren en adviseren van onze ministers van Financiën, van de landen, de beide staten, etc.
And now turning to our weather forecast for September the 11th, 2020. At 11 a.m., Tropical Storm Paulette and Tropical Storm Rene continued to move further away at safe distances from St. Martin. Based on their projected paths, both of these systems are not expected to pose a direct threat to St. Martin. However, a tropical wave just off the coast of Africa has a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Gradual development is expected, and this system has a high chance, 90%, of developing into a tropical depression within the next 5 days. Another tropical wave with a large area of disturbed weather is expected to come off the coast of Africa this weekend. This system has a medium 40% chance of development within 5 days. Environmental conditions are favorable for it to become a tropical depression early next week. The Meteorological Department of St. Martin will continue to monitor these systems and update the public accordingly. So the outlook through Sunday midday: fair to partly cloudy with a local shower possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, General Secretary of WICSU PSU says the unions have done its utmost to raise awareness. And we'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
Welcome back, viewers. And we will now continue with our series with General Secretary of the WICSU PSU, Reginald Arendel, about unionism on St. Martin. Speaking about the negotiations regarding the liquidity support, General Secretary of the WICSU PSU says that the unions have done its utmost to raise awareness as to what the conditions will mean for their members, not only individually, but also collectively. He was at the time answering the question if he was happy with the trade union movement and where would he like to see the WICSU PSU in 5 years.
Well, what I can say is that since the start of the negotiations between St. Martin and the Netherlands for these liquidity support, and especially when we look at the conditions, you will know, the media will know, that the unions have done its utmost not only to raise awareness as to what these conditions will mean on our members, membership individually, but also collectively, but also the fact that we've done our utmost to mobilize our workers, to demonstrate to the powers that be that these conditions, the manner in which it is packaged, the manner in which it is expected to be implemented, and the timing of it is unacceptable. It's simply unacceptable. And of course, we have noticed that over the time that we have seen certain adjustments in the manner in which the discussion has taken place. As I said earlier, as a result of that, persons have become much more interested in being part of the movement because they are seeing results. Truth be told, is there room for improvement? Yes, of course. But in light of all that has transpired within the conditions that we are, within the context, I believe the unions is doing its best. At the same time, Valerie, a trade union movement, as my aunt, the late Patricia Pandefled, would always tell me, is as strong as its membership. So if the trade union movement is not strong or perceived to be strong, then I would always call upon our members to weigh in and find ways to help support us in going forward. Because let's be real, at times the situations that you face, you might have insight and experiences that can better assist or better equip, us in representing your issues. I think at times, some of us are just a bit shy, from taking on certain responsibilities, whether it be out of fear, whether it be out of reservations. But I think at the end of the day, we have to make decisive decisions. It's either you're going to be part of it or you're not part of it. Because in this particular phase of our development, we need all hands on deck. So again, is there room for improvement? Most certainly. But at the end of the day, we are only as strong as the weakest link within our chain.
And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening and this week, we will conclude with our week-long series with the management of the Princess Juliana International Airport. If you were wondering what the Princess Juliana International Airport terminal building that suffered significant damage during Hurricane Irma back in 2017 will look like once completed, it will still be the envy of other islands when completed. The building will be able to withstand winds of 185 miles per hour. Project Director at the Princess Juliana International Airport, Mr. Mirto Bril, speaking to our news department, elaborates further.
I have to be very cautious when I answer that word Category 5 because Irma was a Category 5, but I was on the higher echelons of Category 5. The building, the roof was now redone to withstand 185 miles per hour. So it was first designed for 135. We saw what happened during Irma. It has been rebuilt now to withstand 185 miles per hour, which is what we were, the speed of Irma most of the time during the storm. The doors are going to be re-enhanced. The panes are also going to be replaced. So yes, it will be able to withstand a Category 5.
Shutters. Are you considering installing shutters?
Shutters will go on the doors as well, correct.
Windows, the panes?
No, the panes are still correct.
Okay. When will the airport be ready to hold, or when we'll be able to occupy it 100%? Because right now you're kind of scattered.
Correct. The process itself is going to be a phased approach. As Mr. Mingo and Mr. Hyman indicated, we do have a operation within the terminal right now. So the areas that are the areas that needs to be cleaned up right now, we're working on those. We're going to go ahead and have that available by hopefully the first quarter of 2022. We expect to already start to phase into the new location, and the intention is by the end of February 2023 that it should be completed.
And with that, viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again on Monday. Do enjoy a safe weekend.